How discerning are you? In an age of information overload, how do you discern what's real, what's good, what's true, or even what to do? Do you trust Alexa or Siri, or do you just go with your gut feelings? Everyone discerns hundreds of things every day. Even the dog sniffs his food to let us know his preferences. We deem one thing bad, another thing good, but that thing over there, well, that's awesome. We've been using our internal discernometer since childhood, haven't we? Which makes discernment as common as breathing. Now, some things just require some common sense. Mountain lion may look like Mountain Dew, but our mama didn't raise no fool. Life is full of decisions. Some are trivial and are a matter of preference. But as we follow God, we know that He orchestrates the details of our lives, bringing about opportunities and preparing us for the road ahead. But some things require something from us. Let's go to eBay. That's quite a difference in price. Can you discern the difference? On the real Air Jordan, the logo has a clear, non-glossy, deep impression. On the fake shoe, the logo is shiny with a rather shallow impression. Notice the stitching is uneven and abnormally close to the logo. Does it matter? On the surface, you may have different wants, but as you dig down, you find out what is really important to you. Discernment matters more when we try to give advice to our friends, when we consider a new job, when we parent our kids, or when we enter a church. Our discernometer often relies on our past experiences. But Jesus cautions us about this. He says, "You say when it's evening it'll be fair weather because the sky is red. And in the morning it'll be stormy because the sky is red." He says, "You know how to interpret the appearance of the sky, but you cannot interpret the signs of the times." Okay, he was talking about Pharisees. We expect Pharisees to have faulty discernometers, right? But what about us? Even Peter struggled with discernment. Like many of us, when he didn't have a peace about something, he figured it can't be God's will, right? Yet, when Jesus began to tell his disciples that he had to go to Jerusalem and suffer many things and be killed, Peter took him aside. He rebuked him. He didn't have a peace about that. "Far be it from you, Lord, this shall never happen to you." Uh-oh. Apparently, Peter did not update his discernometer app. Jesus turned and said to him, "Get behind me, Satan. You are a hindrance to me. You are not setting your mind on the things of God, but on the things of man." Ouch. A peaceful, easy feeling may not be the best sign of God's will. What is discernment? And what if we put spiritual in front of it? Is spiritual discernment different from the everyday, plain vanilla kind of discernment? The dictionary defines discernment as to detect, recognize, distinguish between. In the Bible, the Old Testament Hebrew word for discernment means to understand by distinguishing through a skilled investigation. The New Testament Greek word for discernment means to separate in order to make a decision or a conclusion. Discernment occurs when a thorough investigation discovers distinctions that lead to a conclusion. So discernment has three aspects. One is the idea of an investigation into the value of something. The second is the capacity to assess and prove the value of something. As Sinclair Ferguson puts it, true discernment means not only to distinguish the right from the wrong, it means distinguishing the primary from the secondary, the essential from the indifferent, and the permanent from the transient. And yes, it means distinguishing between the good and the better, and even between the better and the best. The third idea is to act on it. I love how Paul describes discernment. He says, "Be transformed by the renewal of your mind, that by testing you may discern what is the will of God, what is good and acceptable and perfect. Here we see that the process of discernment actually transforms our mind. So it's much more than a lesson in logic. Discernment so deeply affects our mind that it renews our thinking. The psalmist asked God, "Teach me good judgment and knowledge, for I believe in your commandments." Here, the word judgment, used in Psalm 119, actually means taste. It's the ability to make discriminating taste, to perceive the moral implications of different situations and courses of action. Discernment, then, is a process of acquiring the power of taste, not logic. In Ephesians 4:23, Paul describes it as being renewed in the spirit of your mind. It's his way of saying that our mind has the capacity to taste the spirit of a thing. That is, when our mind is renewed on a certain matter, we can either savor its goodness, or we might say, smell a rat. In other words, discernment is a profound and deeply spiritual experience of mind renewal.